The most shy year. I pretended to be mute on the prince's bed. No matter how hard he tried. I bit my teeth and said nothing. Until his first love returned. She gave me a 3 million yuan settlement fee. One moment of excitement. I blurted out. "Thank you, boss. You're generous." I nervously covered my mouth. And the man suddenly laughed in anger. "Little mute. Don't tell me this is a medical miracle." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Mute Canary. No need to flatter under the bed. No need to praise the boss's dad on the bed. The only trouble is, I can't curse when I'm angry. For example, right now, Clark noticed I was daydreaming. Hands on the hips. Forced me to turn over. Biting and gnawing. Fiercely as if wanting to tear off the skin and swallow it. "Ah, you bastard." I cursed in my heart. It was utterly humiliating. With red eyes. Crying with a pitter-patter sound. Find a pivot point in the swaying. Embrace the man's neck. Beggingly nuzzle against his face. Based on experience. As long as I make this expression, Clark can end the battle quickly. But tonight, he was under some kind of spell. Took out one ultra-thin 001 after another. From the bed to the bathroom to the sofa. Raising a commotion until midnight. He finally satisfied and hugged me back to the bed. I was too tired to move. But as I thought about what was about to happen, I suddenly lost all desire to sleep. Afternoon. Clark's brother came over for a visit. The study door was not fully closed. Faint voices could be heard from inside. "Edith is returning to the country tomorrow. Mr. Clark will send a car or go in person to pick her up." Everyone in the circle knows Clark has a lingering first love. She was well Clark protected. Everyone only knew about this person. No one knew the exact name or what she looked like. No one knows why the two of them didn't end up together. Once, I had nothing to do and helped Clark organize the study. I saw an old yellowed photo. First love was wearing a hat, facing the side of the lens. The only exposed half of the face. Looked 80% similar to me. A scene of the first time I met Clark flashed through my mind. I was standing by the roadside on my phone. A car stopped in front of me. I didn't pay attention, thinking it was the taxi that had arrived. I just opened the car door and got in. When traveling, identity is something you give yourself. As someone with social anxiety, to avoid the driver talking to me, every time I get in a car, I take out a pre-prepared scroll. "I'm mute. Please don't talk to me." The moment I pushed the phone out, I just realized the driver is a cool and noble handsome guy. Handsome enough to drive a DD car. They all became cars I can't afford to ride in. Thanks to him. He looked at his phone screen again and again. He stared blankly for a while before hoarsely asking me where I was going. Upon seeing the photo, I suddenly understood. At that time Clark was a stunned expression. It wasn't because I got on the wrong car. He didn't kick me off the car right away. Nor was it because of my fake mute identity. It's just that I look like his first love. The office was silent for a moment. Then the conversation resumed. "What about this one at home? He's timid and mute. He probably can't even see people." I didn't listen any further. I turned around and left tactfully. If I didn't leave now, I would lose control of my emotions. I would have laughed out loud right then. 3 years. Exactly 3 years. I've been a mute for 3 years. I finally made it through the breakup. I'm so happy I can't sleep at all. I turned my back on Clark. Unlock my phone and enter the Canary mutual aid group. This is when I accompanied Clark to a banquet. I was pulled in by a warm-hearted girl in the private room. The ultimate goal of all group members is to get a huge breakup fee, achieve financial freedom and live a relaxed life. I couldn't help but share in the group. Clark's first love is about to return home. As soon as the news came out, all the night owls who weren't asleep were shocked awake. Oh my God. Congratulations, Daisy. Get it. Get it. Get it. First love returning home. My patron's first love is said to have studied in Germany. I'm jealous of the girls. I don't have a first love. After a wave of jealousy, Delia curiously asked me, Mr. Clark is so rich, and he is very generous to you. He must give you a lot of alimony when you break up. Clark has always been very generous to me. I get 500,000 yuan as pocket money every month. He gives me a bag and jewelry every few days. Sometimes they would even have the sudden idea to give a luxury car, a mansion. I didn't take the luxury car or the mansion. After all, I'm poor. I can't afford to maintain a luxury car. I can't even afford the property management fee for a mansion. It's hard to take away. Selling it secondhand would require finding an agent. Socially awkward people would feel overwhelmed just thinking about it. So the only hope for sudden wealth is Clark's alimony. A few million. Or maybe a few tens of millions. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. Twisting myself into a knot in bed. Being pulled into a man's arms again in the next second. Don't want to sleep. The hot body came on again. I pushed the man away with my hands and feet. My hands were folded under my face. I said I would go to sleep right away. I have to go to the airport to pick up someone very important to me. I quickly opened my eyes that had just closed. Clark asked casually, You want to come too? I'm confused. Who? Me? Are you asking if I want to go together? Let the stand-in pick her up first, love. Are you planning to make first love die on the spot? I shook my head vigorously. Clark looked at me intently. Well, you're timid, so you can see her again when you're ready. Clark has always been obedient to me. He mentioned arranging a job for me when we first started dating. After I refused, he hasn't mentioned it again. As a shut-in social anxiety person, this kind of life where you don't have to go out to work, a life where you don't have to cook or wash clothes, I still feel a bit reluctant to leave. Emotionally, I fell into a low mood. At that moment, my phone buzzed. It was a text message notification of a bank transfer. I probably won't be back tomorrow night, and I might not have time to accompany you for the next few days. Take this money. Buy whatever you like. I ignored him. Clark stared at the phone screen with glowing eyes. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million. Rubbed my eyes. Counted again and again. It was indeed an 8-digit number. Clark gave 3 million as a breakup fee. 3 million. A poor person suddenly becoming rich. Money blinded my mind. Excited. Blurting out. Thank you, boss. Boss is generous. Eye to eye. The atmosphere suddenly froze. Done. I got so happy I forgot I was mute. That's how a person can be so polite. After realizing what I did was foolish, I nervously covered my mouth. Her waist gave way, and her body slid down. She buried herself in the bed. In the next instant, she was yanked up by the back of her neck by the man. Silent girl. The girl he had cherished on his heart for 3 years suddenly stopped being mute. Clark was almost laughed out of his mind. Don't tell me this is a medical miracle. Haha. This is not a funny pun at all. No place to hide. To block the scorching gaze of the gunfire, I had to cover my face with my hands tightly. Silent one. Speak. I shook my head. My voice muffled. A mute person cannot speak. Clark pinched his temples, looking at the face in front. Blushing, the little girl wanted to hide away. Do you have nothing to say? I bit my lip, feeling a bit confused. Yes, I pretended to be mute to deceive him. I do not defend myself. And the divorce compensation has already arrived. What else to say? I have nothing to say. But obviously, I have to say something right now. Change the approach. Think Clark wants to hear what he likes to hear. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration. Brother. Clark stiffened. As a cultured person, I desperately tried to recall those indescribable color novels. Picking and choosing, I finally found a sentence I could say out loud. Brother is so big, so good. I really like it. I stammered as I praised. I cautiously moved my fingers away from my eyes. Glanced Clark's expression. His eyebrows were raised, and his mouth wasn't tight. Did he not seem angry? Pretending to be silent for so long. He could not avoid it forever. Fortunately, this night is the last night of being a canary. I racked my brain, going through all my mental reserves. Brother, good evening. You're so amazing tonight. Like you took some medicine and were really energetic. Clark's face turned dark instantly. What did you say? Say it again. I swallowed my saliva. Is there anything wrong with this? Is it because you don't like to hear your brother? That's right. Clark, after all. He's older. Can't understand the sentiment between brother and sister. Heart pounding like a drum. I mustered up the courage to repeat it again. Daddy. Good evening. The rest of the words had not yet been spoken. Was swallowed by the sticky entanglement. The man grabbed my nervous hands, not knowing where to put them. Getting lower and lower. Clark, his dull eyes lipped slightly green under the dim wall lamp. Little mute. Say it again. The sky was getting lighter. The man was excited as if he had opened the door to a new world. I buried my wet head into the pillow, foggily thinking. It was good that I had been pretending to be mute for 3 years. Otherwise, I would definitely have died in bed. I woke up again in the afternoon. Body aches. Shouted all night. My voice is now hoarse to the point I can't speak. Now I really have become mute. Walking down the stairs with a prosthetic-like leg. Auntie Alice saw me, nodded to greet me, then went into the kitchen and brought out a warm bowl of porridge. After doing this, she disappeared like a snail girl. Disappeared silently. Clark knew I didn't like meeting strangers. So he had already warned me from the beginning. Everyone entering and leaving the house should reduce their presence. Very friendly for people with social anxiety. The more I think about it, Clark actually seems pretty good. Rich and good-looking. He knows when to be delicate. He's also bold when he should be. The only downside is, he has another woman in his heart. Ah. I felt melancholy for 3 seconds. My hand accidentally opened the transfer record of 30 million. It seems like I don't love him that much anymore. You know, my heart is too small. It can only hold money. As for Clark, never mind. Considering how good he is, let me help him a bit. Thinking like that, I comfortably lie back on the bed. Open the novel in the bookshelf. Chapter 1. First love back to home. Yes, that's what I need. Learn more. Half an hour later. I'm so frustrated with the male and female leads who don't speak. Exit the novel with a blank expression. Open Instagram and send Clark a cat-peeking face. Clark replied immediately. Did you wake up? Auntie Alice said. I warmed up the porridge for you. Eat it later. Don't be greedy. Are you still in pain? Feeling better? Oh my God. A man with strength asks you if you're tired. A very capable man asks you if you're in pain. If you're okay. I buried myself in the bed, kicking my legs wildly. After a while, I coldly replied, Clark didn't reply immediately anymore. Maybe he was busy. I took the opportunity to share the messages I had gathered. Don't miss the girl by your side. No matter how good a man's words are, actions speak louder. 30 little tricks to chase a girl. The article on catering to her preferences. I sent nearly 10 messages, and then I felt at ease to start the game. I played for more than 2 hours. Looking at the messages again, I found Clark had already replied. Received. What does received mean? Did I send the work message to the wrong person? Seconds later, I received a call from Clark's assistant. Curiously, I went downstairs to open the door. The person handed me a black card. Miss Daisy. This is the backup card, mister. Clark asked me to give to you. My eyes were wide open like a fried egg. For me, Carl. The assistant suddenly lost his usual tight, robotic expression. Miss Daisy. You aren't mute, are you? They looked at each other in confusion. I guess I didn't tell him the truth yet. What a mess. It's even fried the elite CPU. After hearing the explanation, Carl, the assistant, pushed his glasses up. The brain started working again. Sorry. I was being narrow-minded. I bit my lip, feeling very embarrassed, and changed the subject. They say Mr. Clark is going to pick up an important person this afternoon. Carl's assistant nodded. Yes. Miss Daisy. Would you like to come along? Let the stand-in pick her up first, love. You guys are crazy. I laughed awkwardly. That's not appropriate, is it? Carl's assistant seemed to be thinking about something. Rephrased. It's a bit sudden. Maybe you should prepare yourself before going to meet her. What's going on? This first love, can't we just not meet? I immediately changed the subject. Clark is so busy. Did you prepare flowers, gifts, or anything for him? Let's have a dinner to welcome him tonight. This Miss Daisy doesn't need to worry. Mr. Clark arranged it last month. It was prepared last month. Haha. How important it is. I looked down at the black card in my hand. I couldn't really describe my feelings. Some of them were a bit sour, and some were bitter. In the end, we were together for 3 years. It's impossible to have no emotional fluctuations at all. To prevent myself from having all sorts of thoughts. Goodbye, Carl assistant. I went back to bed to play games. I ended up playing games until the early hours. Playing until my eyes were sore and my head was spinning. I threw my phone aside. I fell asleep immediately. In a half-awake, half-asleep state, I heard the sound of the door opening. I bumped my eye, vaguely catching a glimpse of a dimly lit place. The man's bare back. A broad and well-developed back like a mountain. A slim, narrow waist, with a clear back groove running down the center. Oh, I would dream about Clark even in my dreams. I spat at myself in frustration, feeling ashamed, turned over, and went back to sleep. Not yet fully asleep. A cool lip touched my forehead. It moved across my eyelids, nose tip, and finally landed on my swollen lip. Ugh. I was kissed so dazed. In Clark grabbing my leg, I suddenly woke up. I instantly jumped up from the bed. It wasn't just a dream. Why are you back? Clark just came out of the bathroom, wearing only a white towel. The dim wall lamp illuminated his bare skin. His six-pack abs boldly tempted me, whether from the front or the back. I could only think of one word to describe this man. Game-winning. Licked his lips, suddenly feeling thirsty. Can't you come back? Clark looked at the time and explained. I worked late, but the matter was handled. I don't have to go to the company tomorrow. I was a bit confused. Working late? You said you pushed everything aside to pick her up from the airport, right? Carl told you that. Clark helplessly shrugged his hands. She changed her flight and didn't tell me. I waited at the airport for 3 hours before finding out she didn't board. Probably still angry. Deliberately messing with me. I couldn't help but shake my head in disbelief. This first love seems a bit hard to console. Well, I suppose that's true. If it were easy to console, we would have been together already. What place does a replacement like me have in that? Clark said, then waved at me. Is it still swollen? Come here. Let me check. If it had been before, although I would have been embarrassed and lowered my head, I would still have obediently gone over. But now, have you seen the message I sent you on Instagram? Clark nodded. That card has no limit. Just spend freely. Not enough to win him over. Damn it. I was lured again. I struggled to look away. A man who doesn't cherish himself is like a rotten cabbage. Clark obviously didn't understand what I was saying. Patted the spot beside him. Let me sit down and talk. I scrutinized him, confirming the man's eyes were particularly normal, even a bit like entering a sage-like state. I finally dragged myself over to sit down, giving him a lecture. It was the past. Now is now. No matter what barriers or misunderstandings existed, if the two of you want to be together properly, the first thing is to cut off the inappropriate relationships. Then give her a legitimate and proper position to stand by your side, so she has sufficient sense of security. Clark thoughtfully. What's your advice? To prevent Clark and his first love from getting involved. Misunderstandings for hundreds of chapters. I decide to fast forward to the ending. Propose. Since they are in love, my advice is to get married right away. After that day, Clark indeed became busy. He didn't ask me to leave. Still, he fed and took care of me. I don't understand. Maybe he still wants to have his cake and eat it too. I sent my guess to the group. Delia quickly replied. Normal. Men are such creatures. Love of the heart is above the waist. Love of the body is below the waist. He loves his first love, as well as this red rose. I angrily pounded the bed. Indeed, Clark is not a good guy either. No way. I can't go on like this. He doesn't drive me away. Then I will leave on my own. I picked up my suitcase and took a quick look in the closet. There was quite a lot to take away. I don't like shopping. Clark just took over all the latest seasonal items. Have them delivered directly to my home. If there's space at home, put them there. If not, clear out some old items to other places. I remember. Clark apparently bought another villa nearby just for this reason. He said he would transfer the ownership to my name. I found it troublesome to go out, and it was also not easy to sell. So I refused. Pick up the clothes and bags I like and pack them. Can't take it with me, so I'll sneak out and send some. When I came back, Carl's assistant, he handed me a form. Miss Daisy, I'm planning to propose to my girlfriend. Can you help me fill out this questionnaire? I took a quick look. It asked whether I preferred Chinese or Western style. It also asked about the preferred setting, outdoor or indoor, whether or not I would mind relatives and friends being present, and so on. There were many questions and they were very detailed. These shouldn't be asked to your girlfriend. Carl's assistant's expression was a bit stiff. My girlfriend is about like Miss Daisy. Proposing was a surprise. It's not good to ask her directly. I sensed something was off. Carl's assistant's eyes were a bit unfocused. He didn't dare to make eye contact. Do you like me? That's absolutely not possible. He cleared his throat to explain. What I mean is, her personality is very similar to Miss Daisy, but other things are quite different. Still felt weird, but I still took the form and filled it out. We social phobics must choose indoor places, considering that a proposal needs an atmosphere. Need witnesses. It's a proposal after all. Carl, his girlfriend, should have met the family and friends in advance. It's better to have strangers present. then family and friends. So fill in, not mind. So I took the perspective and filled out the form quickly. Wishing you happiness. Carl put the form away. No, it's your happiness. I said he's strange. Mr. Clark is going to propose to his first love. It said his first love likes dolphins. And he will propose at the aquarium. Is that so plain and simple? I thought at least it would be something grand like citywide screen projections and fireworks. When I saw this sentence on the screen, I couldn't help but comment. Citywide screen projections would be too embarrassing. An aquarium is much better. The little animals are cute. And the sea is also romantic. My comment was quickly ignored. They discussed the jewelry that would appear during the proposal. I put my phone away. Suddenly realized that my first love not only looks like me. Our preferences are also similar. There are actually two people so similar in the world. It's really rare. Just finished watching the gossip in the group. And then met the person involved in the evening. Clark hung his coat on the coat rack. He casually asked, "Tomorrow there's nothing at the company. Shall we go to the aquarium?" Hearing the words, aquarium, I immediately thought of a proposal. Just the two of us. Clark leaned in. "If you don't mind, it can just be the two of us." What's going on here? I'm completely confused. I just asked directly. That Edith. She's not going. Clark stopped pulling his tie and turned to stare at me. You already know. I nodded. If nothing unexpected happens. I should have found out. My waist was suddenly grabbed. My feet were off the ground. And in the next moment, I was placed on the man's leg sideways. He slightly leaned down and gently touched my forehead. Don't worry. She will like you. I was stunned. What do you mean she will like me? Are you really raising a canary so openly? I can't stand it. Not even a little. I pulled away Clark from the kiss. Disgusting. Filthy. Confused by the sudden scolding, Clark looked puzzled. My arms felt empty. And the girl ran away quickly. Did I hurt her too much before? He was confused and followed into the bedroom. He only saw a back view taking all the blankets. Don't come in the room. You'll sleep in the study tonight. The man's hand reached into the bed. I suddenly remembered that I was just a canary, tremblingly waiting Clark to get angry. But he only pulled the blankets off. It's stuffy. Don't suffocate. His hand slid down and lightly patted my back comfortingly. Good girl. I won't touch you. With that, Clark stepped over me and took another pillow. Left the bedroom. My tense heart started beating uncontrollably. Squeezed his sweaty palms. Daisy, you really are a love-struck fool. Hit his head against the headboard several times. I warned myself. I couldn't delay any longer. Tomorrow I must leave. Clark had been feeling uneasy since the morning. A project file was read and reread, but he still couldn't sign it. Suddenly, he didn't know what he was thinking. Call Carl into the office. Edith's story, did you tell Daisy? Carl was stunned. Yes. Miss Daisy asked me about the airport pickup. It was like a bolt of thunder. Clark suddenly stood up. His voice tight. Did you ever say Edith was who? Carl looked a bit at a loss. Mr. Clark didn't tell Miss Daisy, did he? Good. Clark looked cold, and finally realized the problem with sleeping in the study last night. He needed to go back and explain to the family's little master right away. At that moment, the office door was knocked on. Mr. Clark, there's a package sent by Miss Daisy. When opened, it was the black card that had been sent out. Clark felt something was starting to go wrong. He hadn't even made the call yet. First received Daisy's message. You proposed to your first love. I'm also going back to my hometown to find my childhood friend. Wishing us both a happy future. Immediately call him. found Daisy had already blocked him. Carl watched Clark's expression gradually stiffen, slowly lifting his eyes. Even the muscles on his cheeks were twitching slightly. A look of being cheated on by his wife. Buy me a plane ticket. One that I can take right now. Immediately. Actually, that childhood friend isn't exactly a lie, Clark. I really do need an older brother I knew when I was young. The plane landed. Transferred. Go straight to the destination. But when I arrived at the community gate, I became timid again. How to find someone. Ask one by one. After so many years. Might they have moved away? People were coming and going at the community gate. Yet I felt like I had rooted myself to the ground. Can't take a step. An old man brushed past my shoulder, looked at me in confusion and then turned back. This is a good time to ask openly. But I opened my mouth and couldn't say a word. A young and pretty girl. But unfortunately she's mute. The old man spoke loudly, instantly drawing a crowd. All the passers-by at the neighborhood gate looked in unison. They all looked at me, whispering and pointing, unable to control my nervousness. My breathing became irregular. My vision went dark. A wave of dizziness. Just at the moment of falling, a gentle hand caught me. A temporarily made paper tube was placed over the mouth and nose. A hand gently patted the chest. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. The people around dispersed, patiently helped to calm down. In my memory, there was also someone. He supported me when I fell. Daisy is great. She is definitely not a useless person. Good girl. Hold on. We'll get out soon. Not sister. From now on, when we meet again, you should call me brother. It seemed as if there was a mist in front of my eyes, making everything hazy and unclear. Brother. I instinctively called out. Good girl. Don't be nervous. The familiar words calmed me down gradually. My consciousness became clear. I realized I had mistaken the person. I hurriedly apologized. Sorry, sister. I'm bothering you. The person was laughing so hard they couldn't close their mouth. Turned around and started talking to the person behind. Call me sister. You're such a sweet talking child. Humph. I want to get eyelashes, a manicure, and even a wig. And I'll look like a sister. I peeked and saw an elderly woman with white hair and a cane. I turned my head again to look at the sister who was supporting me. This is when I realized she wasn't actually a sister. She was a well-preserved, fashion-forward grandmother. She helped me up and said, "This is my neighbor." She was a doctor when she was young, and she was the one who noticed you weren't feeling well first. I quickly thanked her. Both grandmothers were very warm and invited me to their homes. I took the opportunity to inquire about the person I was looking for. However, I had too little information already. Plus, there were two grandmothers, one who had just returned from abroad, and one who had just been discharged from the hospital. I wasn't very familiar with the current residents of the community. No problem. Daisy often comes over. Sister will help you find out. You're shameless. Little girl. You're being polite. And you really consider yourself my sister. She's unreliable. Grandmother will help you ask. Grandmother has good connections. There's no one in this community who doesn't know me. You have such a mouth. I don't even believe you have good connections. The two people started arguing again. I took a step out of the room but pulled my foot back. I squeezed between the two grandmothers to mediate. They're both fine. Sisters. Don't argue anymore. I stepped out of the community again. The sky was already dark. I was walking aimlessly on the road. My steps were steady but slow. The quiet night fostered a sense of loneliness. I seemed to have nowhere to go. Daisy. It seems someone is calling me. I turned my head in the direction of the sound. The electric scooter rode down the middle aisle. It blocked the person coming towards me. Silent girl. The surroundings were a bit noisy, but I clearly heard the man's cold voice. You've grown wings. You can run so far on your own. Clark seems to have had a particularly bad day today. I bought the ticket in a rush, and only the business class was left. A height of almost 19 meters. Crouching with legs folded in the seat. Also bumped into a noisy child. Finally made it to the airport. Took a taxi to Daisy's delivery address, but found out the person had never returned. After much effort, I got Delia's phone number through someone. Daisy's only close friend. She should know Daisy's whereabouts. As soon as the phone was answered, I was immediately scolded. Before I could explain a bit, I was blocked again. But all the frustration in my heart vanished the moment I saw Daisy. The small electric scooter in front finally drove away. Clark let out a long sigh, took a few steps and went to the girl's side, lifted her face and leaned down to touch his forehead to hers. Daisy, be a good girl. The two were very close. His voice was not loud, a soft tone, sounding a bit like coaxing and helplessness. Why did you come? I came to see you. The evening wind made his eyes sting. His nose suddenly felt stuffy. Clark, why are you like this? At this moment, I could no longer deceive myself. I cried while shouting at him. Clark, you're such a big scoundrel. You clearly have someone you like. Why did you still flirt with me? Clark was both sad and wanted to laugh. Daisy, don't you see that I like you? Ah. I was stunned, stupidly asking, Edith, isn't she your first love? Is this not your own?
Halfway angry, but was pulled away by the words. Daughter-in-law suddenly turned to look at me. I was scared and retreated Clark behind him. Done. The world collapsed. Whose big grandson calls Grandma Edith? Was Clark pulled into the house? Don't worry. They always act like this. Grandma Carol had surgery done by the nurse before. Then she was hired by the Gu family to take care of Grandma, and the two of them have been quarreling like this for half their lives. Now in their old age, it's unexpected that their health conditions have reversed. Grandma Carol just got out of the hospital. Grandma also found out when she came back to the country, and she changed her flight at the last minute. So I didn't pick anyone up that day. A quiet living room. Edith looks at the eldest grandson, then at the daughter-in-law. Dear, such a nice girl. You told me she's mute. Clark, when people are embarrassed, they really get very busy. I ran my fingers through my hair and turned to look around the interior decoration, trying to avoid Clark's gaze. Edith didn't expect much from this big grandson. Anyway, at least there's a soft and sweet little girl to dress up. She was excited and rubbed her hands together. I pulled my neck back, feeling a chill down my spine. That night, none of us left. I looked around the room. I didn't expect Mr. Clark to live so modestly. Clark explained. The old man didn't like to stand out. I grew up going to public school. Besides knowing that the whole neighborhood belongs to the Gu family, there's not much else that's different. Me. Confused face. Versailles. Glared Clark. I turned around, and my eyes were drawn to a photo on the desk. Sister. I couldn't believe it and grabbed the photo, held up to Clark's side. You. The beautiful sister who took me as a child was you. Clark turned dark, helplessly pulling the person into his arms. Good girl. I told you that when we meet again. You should call me Big Brother. When I was 5 years old, my stepfather sold me to a human trafficker. More than just the trafficking of people, they also left a few children who could be easily controlled, letting them go out to beg on the streets. Originally, they wanted to break my legs, so that I would look more pitiable and could earn more money. She is cute. Pulling a sister who is injured and lying in a corner into his arms. People with missing limbs are not allowed in the mall. But she could enter the mall to beg. They looked at each other a few times, and were actually persuaded. From that day on, a woman specifically took me to beg in the mall. As soon as I met someone, she would force me to hug their legs. If the person didn't give money, I wouldn't let go, crying and begging for sympathy. Within a week, I became the top performer in the begging group. The treatment we received was the best. I often secretly left food for the sister who spoke for me. She was all over bruises, and had burns on her face. She told me not to be afraid. She also told me that she had already found a way to escape. She indeed did not deceive me. We escaped. When we parted, she told me, she is a boy, and the grandmother needs surgery. She wore the dress to make the grandmother happy. I didn't expect to be knocked out and kidnapped right after leaving the hospital, Clark said with some helplessness. Now that I think about it, it still feels absurd. When I recovered from my injuries, I couldn't find you anymore. I suddenly realized where the misunderstanding came from. That photo was of me. Clark nodded. It was found online. It's a snapshot from when you enrolled. Plus the school's camera took a slightly distorted picture. So you don't remember it. When we met again, you should have already known. Damn it. After all, it wasn't me first love myself. Clark's proposal ended successfully. The biggest worry before the wedding banquet was gathering 4 maids of honor. Delia was afraid of being killed on the spot. I was too scared to come. Others were not familiar enough.